Don't just translate, say it right. Bienvenidos. I'm your host, Yesenia Garcia. Join me as I showcase how to reach the Hispanic and Latino audience, including special guests who share their expertise. And we have casual couch conversations featuring nuanced ways words, accents, regions, and dialects have impact. It's going to be an adventure, y vamos a gozar durante el camino. Stay tuned. Welcome back, and today we're here with Kerin Handal. He is the Director of Multicultural Content Partnerships for Comcast Cable. He is responsible for developing industry-leading content experiences for the Hispanic and multicultural audiences across the Xfinity entertainment platforms. He has won many awards earned while at Comcast, and he can talk a little bit more about that during his intro, so I don't want to further belabor his introduction. I'm going to turn it over to my friend, Kerin.
Hey, everyone. My name is Kerin Handal. So I'm the Director of Multicultural Content Partnerships at Comcast. I often say that and people are wondering what that means. So basically what I do and my extended team does is really work with our content providers and creators to really showcase that content across our entertainment platforms. So if you're an Xfinity customer and you have one of our set-top boxes like the X1 platform, what that means is we showcase that content for those providers across that experience. So my team and I, we're primarily focused on our multicultural audiences, including Hispanic households. We work with content providers to showcase that content. We also look at data and insights and see how we can continue to improve the experience for our multicultural households across the entertainment platforms. I'm also an active volunteer with the Big Brothers Big Sister program for the past several years. I've had 3 littles as mentees the past several years. We're also a board members of Photography Without Borders,
Yes.
which is a great organization that we recently got connected with. It's a Philadelphia-based nonprofit that empowers young students to do photography. Something that I'm very passionate about, giving back to the Philadelphia area, but also to young students, giving them the opportunity to kind of see that there is kind of hope. I'm also a former lead of our employee resource group for Latinos called Unidos at Comcast. For that organization, early on when it was formed, and it's been around for several years now, so I'm very happy how it's grown. You may also see I have a couple of degrees in my background. My wife and I actually both went to LaSalle University and have the same degree. We both had management information systems degrees, undergrad degrees. I was also fortunate enough to go back and get an MBA from Holy Family University in Philly. And then a couple of years later, I got the bug of continuing my education and got another master's degree in operations management from the University of Arkansas. From a personal standpoint, I have a young family, 2 kids. My family and I live right outside of Philadelphia. And I think more importantly for this conversation, I'm a proud Hondureño and a proud Puerto Rican.
There you go, Wepa. I love that you combine your experience at Comcast and working with a multicultural audience and combine that with the data and the analysis background, because that is so powerful. I don't know if you know this, but I used to work for Big Sisters of Philadelphia. So I don't know if I shared that with you, but I also appreciate that. And so happy and excited to have you. I think you're an excellent first guest for this podcast, talking about reaching the Hispanic and Latino community. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
So transitioning, I wanted to ask you about how did you come to make the transition to working at Comcast? I see that your background is in transportation and then working at a chemical company. So now telecommunications and cable TV. How did that happen?
Yeah, it's a very interesting kind of change. So like I said, my wife and I both got MIS degrees, and when we were just getting into college, everybody's saying get into IT, get into MIS. That's kind of the big next thing. And unfortunately, when I graduated, it was like the IT bubble burst, right? So opportunities were difficult. But I was fortunate because I was bilingual. I was able to find a position right after I graduated in logistics and supply chain using Spanish, my Spanish skills and my bilingual skills as kind of that entry point. Even though I didn't have, fresh out of college, I didn't have the supply chain or logistics experience. I had a different type of degree. They gave me that opportunity. I worked in logistics and supply chain for a couple of years with what used to be called Roman Haas, which was a Philadelphia-based chemical company that then was acquired by Dow Chemical. Working in transportation, logistics, a lot of it going into Latin America. So that's where that bilingual skills came into play. I also, during my time there with Dow, I was part of their AgroFresh business, which is a ag chem business, right? So it's a business that kind of supports improving the quality and freshness of produce. Again, I didn't have any of that experience. You know how careers go, right? You just go. For me, what my experience has been is like you find those opportunities and see where it goes.
Right.
I got into marketing. Again, I didn't have that background. So somebody gave me a shot at that. I was with that business for a couple years doing supporting like a sales team, like in a sales operations role. It was an amazing job, amazing opportunity. I was able to travel to Brazil, to Chile, even worked in Paris for a couple of weeks on projects. It was an amazing role, but my wife and I decided, we were like, I can't be, a day away, right? If something happens with my family, I want to be close. So I started looking at what's next for me. Obviously, Comcast Cable, headquarters in Philadelphia, is an amazing company. I was fortunate enough to use my marketing and sales operations experience to transition into Comcast Cable in a sales operations role, supporting a retail sales team. From that experience, again, it's sales operations, retail, really data driven type of role. Through my time with the Unidos ERG, the Employee Resource Group, I was able to meet Latino leaders as part of that organization. And through those conversations, I found out that they were going to create a role within what they call like the Multicultural Services team. And that team was being formed to really look at the multicultural customers and how the experiences would be improved. Again, that leader gave me a shot. I kind of learned a lot. I transitioned more into the technology entertainment side. Obviously, I grew up watching Univision and Telemundo and Guapa, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of get it. I understood it.
Well, and I would add to that you earned it through your background and experiences and obviously your education, and of course being bilingual helps. So I think that the preparation and you having opportunities sort of came together. Yeah. So what's a typical day for you?
So my day is fairly fun. Fortunate enough that I get to work hybrid right now. So the past couple of years, I've been kind of working in this space. I have a big TV next to me. I have my laptop ready. I'm watching content all day. I'm watching the TV all day. I'm thinking through how to improve the video experience or entertainment experience for our customers. So I get to, in a way, I get paid to watch TV. I get paid to improve the experience. But other parts of the day, again, it's because we do have relationship with content creators and networks and partners. We meet with them often on a monthly basis, quarterly basis, depending on the partner. And just we hear from them like what they're excited about, what content they're excited about. Right. We partner with our multicultural editorial team to showcase that content across our platform. So it's learning about content, learning what our partners are excited about, using data and insights, reading a lot, being part of the industry circles to understand what's happening with our audiences, our multicultural and Latino audiences, and applying that, right, to the experiences that we're building. A lot of times I bring my personal experiences to kind of the decision making, or at least to the conversations. A lot of times I refer to, my mom told me this, or my mom called me and this, the voice remote did not work for her for this command, like this voice command, or yeah, my mom wouldn't say that, or my mom's not watching that, or I would bring my personal experiences to that. I say, on family movie nights, what my family is watching, because a lot of times we're representatives of the Latino community. I know we're all diverse and have different experiences, but I feel that having our experiences into those conversations help a lot to improve the experience.
That, first of all, that excites me, because as a mom, I love to hear that you're saying, my mom said this or she didn't say that. So thank you. And for all the moms out there, keep talking to your kids, because they do hear you eventually and will, bring that back into important conversations. So thank you. But importantly, I think that you having that voice in a larger, space speaks to the importance of having, a diverse and multicultural voice, which is, why I do what I do, and why I felt it was important to have you here and sort of reach out and talk to us today. What led you to focus on multicultural services?
And again, for me, it's been a transition, a gradual transition to my current role, but I've always geared myself to helping others, especially, multicultural and Latino communities. So I tell people all the time, I love my job because I do great things for the company, right? I help the company get better and serve our customers in better ways. But I also feel like I have a small influence in how my community gets served, right? My Latino community, my Puerto Rican community gets served. So I feel that there's a lot of pride behind that. There's also, I feel like that really it's aligned with my personal values of helping the community.
I love that. Thank you. What do you think is one of the biggest challenges in reaching Hispanic and Latino consumers and audiences today in general?
Yeah, it is difficult, right? Latinos, our community is not a monolith, right? We're so diverse. There's so many layers. There's so many things that you have to consider, both from culture to language, right? There's so many variations in between. So it's just really understanding who your customer is, right? If you're a large organization or a smaller organization, you have to understand who you're trying to reach, right? Because if you're an organization who's singularly focused on Spanish language and trying to reach those customers, you should be good at that. If you understand that you want to reach a bigger part of the Latino community, you have to understand that some Latinos are, prefer Spanish, some prefer English, but the large majority of us sit in the middle, right? We sit in a world where we're bilingual, we're bicultural, we're what we, a lot of companies call 200%ers, right? I'm a 100% Latino, 100% American all the time. I'm not a either or.
I have not heard that. I love it. 200%er. Okay. So then my next question, do you think it's important to have Spanish only or bilingual exclusive content? And what's your thoughts about Spanglish content?
Yes, again, so it depends on who your audience is, who you're trying to serve, right? If you're singularly focused on a community who prefers Spanish, again, be good at that. Make sure that you're doing it the right way. Make sure you have the right resources, you have the right talent doing that type of work. Machine translations and leaning on that may be a dangerous thing if it's not done well, right? So you make sure you have somebody who understands the language, but also understands the culture. But again, it depends on what you want to do. Bilingual, bicultural is a big opportunity. I think that's where the large majority of Latinos are. That's where we are as a community. Spanglish, again, it depends. It depends if it's a formal setting, right, or like a legal document, or like unfortunately, I don't want to say like a bill. You want to make sure you're very formal, you're very clear in your language. But I see it also from the entertainment standpoint, right? Spanglish could play in that space better, right? Because that's more natural. And depending on the audience, it's probably preferred. I grew up, speaking Spanish from my parents, English with most of my friends, and then with my Latino and Puerto Rican friends, we were Spanglish. That felt natural. So it depends on who you're trying to reach and how you're trying to reach and when.
Yeah, in many cases, I say I'm trilingual. I speak Spanish, I speak English, and I speak Spanglish, because that is the case. I mean, and then just dipping back and forth between, or not between, but among the three. I love it. So you talked about your team and also working with other departments in terms of content creators, etc. Do you have, or does your team have, some best practices when you create content that reaches the Hispanic and Latino audiences?
Yeah, I think it's going back to the idea of making sure you have people who are part of the community is important, especially if you're trying to create something that's unique and serving a community. I would speak specifically about our Latino editorial vertical. We're very fortunate to have a great editor, Latina editor, and she's part of the community, right? So she knows the right ways to say things, the right language, right language to use. But she also knows what's important, right? Like, unfortunately, in Puerto Rico, there's another hurricane happening now, right? She understands how important that is and how to elevate that message on our platform. If you're doing it in ways that are automated, sometimes you may miss that nuance, right? That cultural nuance of what's important and why and when, and when to not say things or avoid things, because you understand it because you're part of that community.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Are you ready to reach the Hispanic and Latino audience, or do you want to get your marketing in order before the new year? Visit Connect with Hola, and let's get started with an audit and strategic marketing plan. Not ready? No hay problema. Sign up for our newsletter and get your How to Create Accents guide on Macs and PC keyboards. This will definitely come in handy when creating all sorts of content. The link is in the description.
Many of our audiences, they may not be familiar with all of the breadth of offerings that Comcast has. Expand on that and talk to you a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we have a wide range of services. I specifically on kind of the Comcast Cable side. Obviously, one of the best, or the best, high-speed data internets out there and connections. Wi-Fi that covers the whole home, the complete home, is probably is one of our key strengths. But our entertainment platforms, our X1 platform, where I was referring to earlier, is kind of the premier platform where we have your connection to the the wide breadth of linear content. So anything from the major broadcasters to cable packages. From a Latino standpoint, we have a wide range of Spanish language cable providers on that platform. But we also been adding to that our apps and subscription VOD or on-demand services that serve the Latino community, both that are Spanish language, but and others who are Latino-led content, but in English, right? Because I think both are important.
Yeah.
The other things that we've done recently, understanding that streaming is important. We've created other platforms. The Xfinity Flex platform is our streaming box. So a customer who may not subscribe to a linear package, they could get the Xfinity Flex, and then they could stream their favorite apps through that. And just recently, in the past couple of years, we launched the X Class TV. So it's a smart TV that has the similar capabilities for streamers. The three platforms, X1, Flex, and X Class, have a bilingual voice remote. So if a customer is bilingual like us or speaks Spanglish, the remote knows. It knows the differences between football and football. It knows how to find your telenovelas, and there's a lot of great things with kind of that platform.
So you speak to it, like you speak to the remote?
Yeah, I have it right here. You hit the remote button, and then the speaker button here, and then it finds what you're looking for. If it's a show, it's an app, it's a collection. Sometimes you're looking for like a certain network. You can mix. If you turn on the bilingual voice setting, you could speak Spanglish to it. So show me telenovelas, right? It knows what you're looking for. Or you could, again, like if you're saying football, it knows the nuance between football and football. So it's a smart device. We're very proud of that. We also have our guide. It's also bilingual, so you could also enable it to be in Spanish. So if you're a household who prefers to navigate your guide in Spanish, you turn that on. And then so it gives us opportunity to give the customer choices, especially with language. So you could set your guide in Spanish, turn on your bilingual voice remote, and then the customer has that choice for navigation.
Oh, I don't have Xfinity in our area. I am dying to get it. I'd be like, Búscame Selena. Yeah, that is really incredible.
Yeah, going back to the conversation earlier with my mom, and those are the type of things that I get feedback directly from her. Like, I was looking for something and it wasn't working. And so I had the opportunity to then elevate that, like within our organization, to get it fixed. And I know if I fix it for her, I'm probably fixing it for a couple thousand people that are similar to her.
Well, so that leads me to my next question in terms of like, how big is your Hispanic and Latino audience? I mean, because I would imagine it's probably hundreds of thousands of people that you're fixing things for, with the feedback from your mom.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I can't go into the details of our specific audience, but I could just say overall at a national level.
Sure.
I think that the latest population numbers that I saw there is like U.S. Hispanics are about 62 million in the U.S. Just thinking about that scale, right? If you would pull that out, that would be a huge country on its own.
Sure.
That's about 20% of the U.S. population.
Right.
The other nuance there is like over half of that growth has come between 2014 and 2019. So if you're looking at that as a marketer or business, you should realize that those are young families, right? Those are families that have needs for products that any young family need, especially in entertainment. The other thing to think about too is, those families are going to start going into their prime earning years. So maybe right now they're earning at a certain level, but if you think about it, the next 5, 10, 15 years, there's going to be families that are going to be earning more. but it's also a huge part of the population. So it's something that companies big and small should really key on and focus on.
Yeah, before we wrap it up, we're in Hispanic Heritage Month and it's currently underway. What can we look forward to seeing on Comcast's lineup? What was it like, preparing for that?
Yeah, so we've been talking about Hispanic Heritage Month for several months now, and I'm very proud to work with a team that really puts it on the calendar, early on, right? We already have it on the calendar for next year, and we've been working on the kind of the plan and the strategy for several months now. But on our platform, again, if you're an Xfinity customer, just say Latino into your voice remote. And what we've done this year is really build again that bilingual, bicultural collection. We wanted to create something that really showcase the contributions of Latinos and Hispanic Americans to the U.S., both from a history and cultural standpoint, but also achievements. So if you go into our collection, which we called this year Si Se Pudo, is to really showcase the achievements of those Latinos in both entertainment and other industries as first, right? This is kind of the first generation who are creating major milestones that my kids and other kids, right, are gonna kind of grow from. So the collection is great. It's a mixture of education, entertainment, and also the other great thing about it is that we've been able to work with our partners to secure a lot of free sample content. So throughout the month, the complete month, customers will be able to check out some of our partners, on-demand content. So there's weeks where we're showcasing TV shows. There's weeks where we're showcasing kids and family content. There's a movies week where we're showcasing content from our Spanish language partners. And then we're closing out the month with a showcase of telenovelas, which we know is a huge genre within the community. And I think the other thing that we're happy with is that we're also showcasing content that is with Latino and Latina leads as the main actors or actresses and storylines, but in English, because we know sometimes some of us in the community don't know Spanish.
Right.
We really value to see ourselves in movies and TV shows. So this collection has a little bit of everything. If you're an Xfinity customer, just say Latino to your voice remote, you'll find the Hispanic Heritage Month collection. If you're watching this later in the year, if you say Latino to your voice remote, you'll see that we always create a collection for the Latino community. This is something that we do all year round. It's not something that we do just for Hispanic Heritage Month and then jump out
and then forget. Yeah.
And this is something that we do, and like I said, we have an editor who works on this all year round. So it's something that we try to do for the community, something that we know is important both from a social and business standpoint.
And I love that we talked about just all of the different things that Comcast is doing for the Latino community and like your path there. I also appreciated learning that, Comcast is a huge organization and they are doing the work behind getting content out early. It's not just, Hispanic Heritage Month is coming, let's hurry up and put something together. It's built into their systems and their organization. So it's 24/7, 365. And you sound like you have people that are, part of the community and that know the culture. So it's very nuanced and it's very, like you're doing it right. You're putting, all of the necessary steps behind what needs to happen. So I really do appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay. So before we finish up, where can we reach you? Or if people want to know more, where can we find you?
Yeah, so if you want to see the work, again, if you're an Xfinity customer, say Latino to your voice remote. If you're not an Xfinity customer, sign up. I think it's a great service. Obviously, very biased about that. But if you want to reach me personally, find me on LinkedIn. I'm probably the only Kerin Handal on LinkedIn, so easy to find.
Yes, and I'll have the spelling in the description, because we both spell our names very uniquely. So that'll be spelled out, and I'll have the contact information in the description as well. Okay, so now we turn to the fun part. It's rapid fire question time. So you ready?
Nervous. Yep.
Oh, don't be nervous. It's going to be fun. Okay, so I'm just going to shoot some questions and just let me know what you think, okay?
Okay.
All right, ready? Okay. iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Apple or what's the other one? Spotify. Apple Music, Spotify.
Neither. Or we're Amazon family when it comes to like the smart devices and music.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Dark chocolate or white chocolate?
Milk chocolate.
Dogs or cats?
Dog. We had a 16-year-old Shih Tzu, but also just recently during the pandemic, I got the bug to set up some aquariums. So I have a couple aquariums around my house.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Beach or mountains?
This is a tough one, right? So I'm Puerto Riqueño, so I love my beaches, especially our Puerto Rican beaches. But I did also have a house in the Poconos, so I'm split on this one. It depends on the time of the year.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. The last one. This one is 3, but you can only pick one.
Okay.
Salsa, merengue, or bachata?
I am the worst dancer. So I love all the music. Mark Anthony is probably my favorite artist, right? So but I'm the worst dancer. Okay, well, that wasn't too harmless, was it? No, it was good. I thought it would be a lot harder. No,
they're just meant to be fun. And bringing it around, I will take a moment to just be a little more serious for a second. You mentioned the hurricane, and I want to take just a minute to acknowledge that we are recording this podcast during the heels of Hurricane Fiona. So I want to acknowledge that, and I want to just acknowledge all of our families and friends who are on the island and our neighboring countries who also experience the tragedy and the losses. Our country has just experienced so much during the last 5, 6, 7 years with hurricanes. So I do want to take the time and just acknowledge that during the recording of this podcast, that is happening. Our families are safe, and but many may not be and are still struggling. So I will also put some links to places that if anyone feels compelled to donate to the infrastructure and to some of the causes that are supporting the hurricane and the infrastructure, I will do that.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes. Okay. And that's a wrap.
Pues ahí lo tienes, and that's a wrap, mi gente. Thanks for joining us on Don't Just Translate, Say It Right, where we showcase how to reach Hispanic and Latino audiences, and spoke with Kerin Handal, our special guest today, Director of Multicultural Content Partnerships with Comcast Cable. We also speak to guest experts and learn how to best use language for the greatest impact when reaching Hispanic and Latino audiences. Now, before you sign off, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, turn on your notifications, and learn when new episodes drop. Thank you again for listening and watching. I'm your host, Yesenia Garcia. Hasta la próxima.